Ahava blessings. Welcome to this episode of Embodying the Shekhinah. This podcast is here to support us, to guide us during these times of intense and accelerating energy, these times of ascension, in order to embody, integrate, remember our soul essence. I'm your host. My name is Aurea. I am an ordained Magdalene priestess, Reiki master, energy and sound alchemist. Happy new moon. Blessings on this new lunar cycle of Taurus-Iyar. So we are going into the lunar cycle of Taurus. This moon is happening on April 17th, 7:51 a.m., 4:51 West Coast, and for our friends in Europe, it is happening at 1:51 p.m. in the afternoon. And oh my goodness, this is a very, very intense moon. We have a massive stellium in Aries, and you feel the fire of this energy. The moon is conjunct the sun at one of the final degrees of Aries, 27 degrees. It is conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer. So I'm going to break down what's going on with this moon, because there is a lot of energy. So even though this is a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries, this new moon marks the new lunar cycle of Taurus-Iyar. This is the month of healing. It is a month that is aligned with the Aramaic Hebrew creation frequencies of the Pei. Pei is the Aramaic creation frequency that created Venus, which is the ruler of Taurus, and Vav, the divine child, also the day that rules Friday, and this moon is falling on a Friday. The Vav is the connector between heaven and earth, that channel, that umbilical cord that brings down the celestial heavenly energies, and Vav created Taurus. So there's a lot of energy. There's a stellium and also the beginning degrees of Aries. We have Neptune at 2 degrees, Mercury at 3, Mars at 5, Saturn at 7. So we have a lot of fire energy. This energy is about leadership. It is about change, new beginnings, transformation. This energy is impulsive. Mars is in its domicile, it's at home in Aries. And Mars in Aries likes to kick things off. Very fiery, very feisty, very combative even. And so, because this is an energy that is very volatile, very impetuous, very fiery, it's the kind of energy that you feel like you have a fire that has been lit under you. We must be very mindful, because this stellium in the beginning of Aries is it is in a sextile with Pluto. Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation. So if you're feeling like things are shifting and moving and you don't really know what is going to happen, this is the volatility of Aries. We are taking that leap of faith. We are taking action without guarantees for how things will turn out, which is why during this lunation, it is very important to remain in your heart. This is a very high moving energy. 27 degrees is the number 9 in numerology, and it is about cycles, closings, endings, new beginnings, purification of the unconscious mind. It is creation before life, the subtle body. Everything is how everything shifts and moves through dimensions. It is the priestess that goes beyond duality, wisdom, intuition, spiritual awakening, working all our bases, vision, and innovation. That is the energy of the degrees of this moon. So we're bringing this Aries energy, this fire starter, this ignition, this drive, this motivation, this energy of leadership into Taurus. Taurus is the bull. Taurus is aligned with, associated with the Pleiades, because the Pleiades constellation is in the eye of Taurus. And the Pleiades are the seven sisters, also known as the seven Hathors. And the Pleiadian energy is an energy that it's beautiful, it's harmonic, it's deeply healing, it's transformative. It is one of the civilizations that seeded humanity. So a lot of us are walking around with Pleiadian energy signatures, Pleiadian energetic codes, because we've lived lifetimes in the constellation of the Pleiades. And it's a higher dimensional frequency, frequencies, plural, because it's not just one. It has to do with the divine feminine, has to do with ancestral wisdom, it has to do with lineage, it has to do with deep wisdom, it has to do with creation, with fertility, with all of these things. So right now, as we're feeling like this volatile energy is shaking things up and unexpected things are happening, sometimes it feels like the divine is pulling the rug out from under our feet and like course correcting us. And we're like, wait a second, I thought we were going here. But then it's like, no, we're not going there. Now is the time to really lean into your faith. Have faith that everything, no matter how difficult, how challenging, how painful, is working for you. Somehow, everything is working for you, and there are moments when it is very difficult to have that kind of faith. And during these times, I really encourage you to lean into a practice, lean into something that makes you feel safe, grounded, and allows you to remain in your heart and to remain open. Because the moment that we close our hearts, the moment that we think that life is out to get us and nothing is going to work out the way we want it to, that our desires somehow aren't being fulfilled, and therefore I don't know why I have this desire. Those moments are when darker influences can come in. And we want to be protecting ourselves from infiltration, from lower dense frequencies, in a sense hijacking us. We don't want that. So even if you don't like to do your practices, do your practices. Even if you find like you're going through the motions, it's okay to go through the motions, because sometimes we just have to elevate our energy. Particularly when you don't know how things are going to turn out and you don't know which way is up. This is why having an energetic practice, a spiritual practice, is really important. A meditation, something that allows you to align back with your heart. Because when you align with your heart, and when you make that effort to continue to align with your heart, especially with this volatile Aries energy, it'll be less likely for you to do something stupid. Which this Aries energy, which is the energy of an impetuous child, or a teenager that thinks that they know it all, but they really don't, we are able to ground and align the energy of forward momentum and ignition and leadership with a heart-centered, grounded approach. And in doing that, we're able to move forward in a far more powerful way than if we were just to stomp our feet, thrash about, and burn everything down. Because if we just burn everything down and say the hell with it, then we're not really creating value or harmony or beauty or peace, because we're just creating a mess. We're just creating, instead of being the ignition behind harmony, behind grace, behind union, we become the ignition of darkness and destruction and chaos, and we bring that forth, and that doesn't benefit anyone or anything. So be very mindful. The sun and the moon and Chiron are in a conjunction. So the Chiron energy is about deep healing. Chiron is the centaur, the wounded healer, the one that feels different, the one that feels not accepted, the one that doesn't feel like it belongs. So these wounds with Chiron and Aries have to do with the identity. They have to do with the sense of self. Conjunct the sun and the moon. It has to do with your body, your physical body, and your emotional, intuitive bodies. So the wounded healer, the funny thing is about the wounded healer is that this place in your life where you feel the most different, where you feel that things are the most difficult, where you don't feel accepted, where you feel like the black sheep of the family or so, or the rainbow unicorn sheep, which is a far more positive way of spinning it. That place is the place where you hold the most magic. Your wound, once you heal it and integrate the lesson, is the infinite source of blessings and of healing. And it is the place from which you will have a profound impact on those around you. It doesn't matter if you're a healer or not, because we're all healing someone, regardless of whether we quote unquote do it professionally. We are all inspiring. We're all holding a torch for someone, whether it is our family, our children, our neighbors, our coworkers, our community. All of us are beacons and torches of hope, of peace, of harmony, of union, of the radiance of the soul embodied. We have that, or that fire, that huba, that sacred flame of holy desire. When it's ignited within you, you shed light on how others can rise to the same level, or maybe not the same level, maybe a better level. Because again, it's not about comparison. And this is the thing with Aries. Do not fall into, what is that word I'm looking for? That comparing energy. I can't think of the word right now. But don't fall into the trap of thinking that you need to compare yourself or one up else. That overly competitive Aries nature that just competes for the sake of competing without actually understanding the why behind their actions. They just want to win, and they just want to be ruling over something or someone, but it's not coming from a place of heart. It's coming from an egoic wound that makes them feel that they have to be that in order to be seen. You don't need to be anything other than who you are in this moment, with all of your flaws, with all of your blessings, with every aspect of you is valid. So going back to this conjunction with Chiron, when it comes to healing, and this came up in one of my astrology sessions, we have a tendency as human beings to think that we have to identify with our wound, to think that we have to, carry it as a badge of honor, even though we've already healed it. We have to honor it by holding on to it really, really tight. what's funny is that, well, it's not funny, but what's interesting, that's a better word. What is interesting is when we have the perspective of, I must carry this wound with me, even though it's already healed, I've already learned the lessons, I already know what needs to be done with this, but we're still holding on to that identity. What happens is we begin projecting that wound out into the world. And in a sense, we attract, because everything is vibration and frequency, we attract more of that wound, because instead of letting it go and surrendering it, we think we have to carry it about and show it to everyone and say, hey, look, this is me. And that is counterproductive. It may seem like you're honoring the wound, but what you're really doing is you're projecting through the wound. So it becomes a lens. It becomes, I don't know if you guys are familiar with photography, or actually, yes, a lot of you guys probably are on Instagram. So you know all those filters? That's exactly what it becomes. It becomes a filter through which you view the world. And it distorts the reality of what you are birthing forward. So we want to liberate ourselves of those parts of ourselves that have already been healed. They've already been integrated. We already know the lesson. We don't need to keep carrying it with us forward. It's time to let go. Let go and trust that you are always protected. You are always being supported, even when it feels like you're not. Even when it feels like you were promised one thing, you saw something in a vision, and somehow it's not working out the way that you saw it. There must be a reason. The divine, Allah, God, Goddess, there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes because we are a part of divine source consciousness. So everything is happening for a reason and for a purpose, even though human us may not understand it and may feel frustrated and angry and like you want to lash out because something is not manifesting. In those moments, we take a breath and we align back with our heart. We align back with love and we surrender. We trust that somehow everything is functioning and working. There must be something that we did not see or anticipate with the human mind that is causing a delay and a setback. So instead of raging against the setback, let's reframe it and begin accepting it as a blessing, as a redirect that somehow it's shifting something. Something is being rearranged in the energetics of what it is that we are birthing into creation. So all of your fears, because there's a lot of fear of taking up space, confronting self-abandonment, where we are not showing up for ourselves, where do we need to heal? That's what I meant. The wounded masculine and developing courageous and authentic leadership. All of these themes have to do with this Chiron Sun-Moon conjunction. So it's a powerful time to look at ourselves honestly and to see where we need healing, where we need to reassess our self-worth, our identity, our personal assertions. All of that has to do with this Chiron conjunction with the sun and the moon. So I will say this again, there's a lot of opportunity for deep, deep healing, for absolute transformation and a complete rebirth. And it's okay. It's okay that we don't know how it's going to turn out. It's okay that we don't know what the next step is. It's okay that we don't know if we want to take that next step. But we do need to take some kind of action, because this moon is about action. It is about creation of the foundation that you need for this next level of your experience. And let's talk about the other stellium. Uranus, Mercury, Mars. Mars, we know, is super, super comfy in Aries. Saturn, the Lord of karma, discipline, structure, maturity, restriction. Saturn in Aries is what is keeping Mars in Aries in check, because it is, when there is a stellium, a conjunction of this magnitude, the energies merge. So there's a lot of curtailing of the energy of ignition and forward movement and leadership with Saturn in Aries, which is why I go back to take grounded action, take action that is aligned with your heart. Don't allow the ego to just run amok and lead. And the way that we don't allow the ego to run away with us is to remain in your heart and remain aligned with your soul and with the divine. Know that there is a higher I am. There is the physical, egoic I am, the one that thinks in terms of boxes and restriction and labels and identity, and it's all about me. And then there is the higher I am, the I am that knows that you are infinite oneness, that knows you are cosmic light, love. You are one with the divine and the creative force of the universe. You are one. And when we move from that sense of union to create harmony and to create balance and to bring forth growth and expansion and creativity, because this energy is also very creative. We have Venus that's in a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. So there's that energy of creativity to this energy of this new moon as well. Mercury is direct. Be very, very careful, because Mercury in Aries can get a little mouthy and be awfully blunt and not necessarily think about what they are saying, the words that are coming out of their mouth. Don't let that happen. Be mindful of your words, because we're going into Taurus season, and Thay, the Aramaic Hebrew creation frequency that created this lunar cycle, Venus, and rules the lunar cycle, means mouth. And it's a quote: misfortune comes from one's mouth and ruins one, but fortune comes from one's heart and makes one worthy of respect. I believe that's a Buddhist quote. And it's always something that I've been very mindful of, because especially with the energy of Mercury and this stellium in Aries, there is that desire to just go completely off script and be completely blunt and direct to the point that you really, really hurt someone's feelings. However, you can say, quote unquote, that, oh, well, I'm just speaking my truth. However, that's not the entirety of what it means to speak your truth. What it means to speak your truth means to be aligned with your soul, with your heart, with the energy of creation, with the light, with the divine. Because you can speak your truth and completely obliterate and wreck someone's confidence and say that, well, I'm justified in that because my ego moved me to say those things. That creates nothing but negativity. That creates nothing but negative karma. And that also creates it creates a block within you. Because whenever we think that we're saying something and we're not mindful of how it is being received and what we're actually trying to accomplish, what is the intention behind the words that are coming out of your mouth? Are you simply speaking out of your ass just to say, oh, I'm speaking my truth? Or are you actually trying to connect with that person, to have a legitimate dialogue and to come to an understanding that both parties are okay with and can come out having learned something, having expanded in some way, shape, or form? See how the communication between those two truths is very different. There is the truth that is harmful and chaotic and destructive and undermines the frequency of creation. And then there is the communication, the truth, the real truth with the capital T, that seeks to bridge the gap between hearts, the gap between human beings, the differences, and not dwell on those differences, but to dwell on the shared values and the shared wisdom that can be interchanged. Two very different expressions. One is aligned with the light, one is not. So during this lunar cycle of Taurus, be very mindful and choose wisely. Are your words creating harm and destruction and chaos, or are your words becoming the beacon of light that you wish there was more of in the world? Are you embodying and embracing the love that you want to see in the world, or are you basically just throwing a fit because the external world is not matching the internal reality at this point in time? Because remember, our physical reality, there's a lag. We're still in this time where timelines are a little loopy. At any point in time, we can jump timelines. But in order to do so, we must remain in the heart, and we must continue to be as neutral as possible, which is very difficult if you are in a space where you have a strong desire and a strong intention, and you're attached to that. Sometimes, especially during this moon, we need to let go and just let God. Let go and let God. This stellium between Uranus, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn in Aries in the first degrees of Aries is in a quincunx with the South Node in Virgo, which brings in the energy of past lives. So the healing with this early stellium, it has to do with karmic contracts, karmic cycles that are closing. But also it has to do with subconscious and unconscious patterns and programs. So, and things that we're blind to, things about ourselves that we're not willing to see. However, at this point in time, when the moon is new, we can set the intention to allow these cycles that need to be closed and these karmic loops to come to our awareness so we can heal them powerfully. And as we heal powerfully, there's an opportunity for tremendous growth, tremendous expansion, if you are willing to take that leap of faith. So the moon is coming with a whole lot of energy of ignition, of leadership, of starting something new and fresh and dynamic and passionate and creative. Go with it. Don't be afraid to take action, even if you don't know how things will work out. Even if you feel lost, lean on your practices, lean on your meditation, lean on something that feeds the light within you. don't fall victim into just kind of dwelling in the sadness. Focus on the light, focus on the love, focus on the beauty and the harmony that is around you, because we all have wonderful things in our lives to be thankful for. So as you set your intentions for this new lunar cycle, keep in mind to be very mindful with your word. Know that at all points in time, you are that divine child. You are that bridge, that connector between the celestial frequencies, and because humanity is the divine child and we're all humanity. So you are that bridge between the celestial realms and the earth. So we're bringing down cosmic light frequencies and codes. And the more that we heal, and the more that we let go, and the more that we liberate, and the more that we allow ourselves to transform and to shed those parts of us that are no longer us and are no longer in resonance and alignment, the more that we can reveal this light, and the more that we embody that growth and are able to expand that into creation. And with that, set your intentions from a place of gratitude, from a place of, it's not just about you. How is this seed that I'm wishing to plant and to have birth in my experience, how is it going to expand? Because the moment we birth something, it's no longer really ours. It belongs to itself and it belongs to the world. So how are we nurturing those seeds? How are we allowing ourselves to transform? And how are we allowing ourselves to show up for ourselves and to have faith that we are held, have faith that we are divinely guided and protected, even when it feels like that's not, quote unquote, what we see out in the world. Somehow have faith that your guides are still with you. And with that, have a blessed new moon, a wonderful lunar cycle. Don't forget to tune in to the sound activation for this new lunar cycle. You can listen to that sound activation for the rest of the next month. And if you like this, like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on YouTube at Aurea and on Instagram at Aurea and Embodying the Shekhinah. All of that is linked below. If you are in Atlanta, you can join me for a beautiful new moon sound activation in person. And there's also a class, a workshop where we're going to talk about connecting. How do we connect with our angelic guides? All of that is linked below. So if you are local or if you know someone in the Atlanta area who would enjoy and benefit from being in resonance and harmony with this, do share it with them. I'm wishing you a blessed new moon, a wonderful new lunar cycle of Taurus. Taurus is one of my favorite energies, probably because I have a Venus in Taurus and my rising sign is Taurus, as well as my husband. So I'm very, very familiar with this energy. And it's a wonderful energy for creation, creativity, for grounding new creation in your experience. So it's a fantastic energy that we're going into. Enjoy it. Ahava. Blessings.